Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of WeighOut Wednesday. I'm coming to you from Scottsdale, Arizona. My name is Dr. Ashley Southard. I'm the site director and clinical therapist at a New Beginning Outpatient Treatment Center and also the co-founder and program director of the Healthy Way Out Emotional and Binge Eating Weight Loss Program. So this month I'm talking about common summertime stressors that can leave you feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, and maybe turning to food as a way to try to comfort yourself and soothe yourself and get some relief from all of the stress. So today I want to talk about another stressful experience that a lot of people can actually experience this time of year, and we kind of call it the summertime blues. Now, how many of you find yourself struggling with a mood that's a little more depressed, a little more down, a little more hopeless this time of year? Well, if so, you are not alone. And actually, a lot of times we think of this seasonal mood issue being related more to the winter time when the days are shorter, the temperatures are colder, there's more of an inclination to want to stay inside and kind of isolate, and that can lead to depressed feelings. But actually, there's a large population of people who find that they have these feelings more in the summertime. So it's more common than you might think. And so today I want to talk about some of the triggers that are summer specific that can actually set you up to feel a little more down this time of year, and then offer some specific strategies for what you can do to navigate through those stressors effectively without food so that hopefully you can find yourself not feeling so vulnerable to emotional and binge eating. So there are a couple of really common triggers that can lead to the summertime blues. And one of those is that there tends to be a disruption to your routine. Now, this isn't true for everybody, but for most people, summertime brings with it a change in schedule. And this is usually because people are traveling and the kids are out of school, and maybe other people are traveling at your office, and so your workload is different. Maybe you have more work, maybe you have less work, but usually people find that their schedule's just really different this time of year, and it can be for fun things. You might have some of the best vacations planned this summer, but regardless, that change in your routine, as I mentioned in earlier videos, can be very stressful and taxing on your system. And when you're feeling stressed, if you turn to food for emotional reasons, then stress can most definitely be a very strong emotional trigger. Okay? Another common trigger for the summertime blues can actually be the sun. Now, believe it or not, there are a lot of reasons why the sun can trigger a more depressed mood. And we actually think that, sun gives you vitamin D, which can boost your mood. And yes, that's true. But there are other components of the sun that can actually not leave you feeling so well. Now, in the summertime, the days are really long, and so I don't know where you're living, but here in Arizona, the sun is up by 5:15. It's peeking through the windows. It's starting to wake people up. And then usually the sun isn't going down until 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. So the day is very, very long, and this can actually disrupt your sleep and also disrupt your routine and your mood throughout the day. So just from a sleep perspective, if the sun is waking you up really early and then you're not getting to bed until super late because the sun didn't even go down until 8 o'clock and then you still needed a couple of hours to unwind at nighttime, you may be finding that you are not getting nearly enough sleep, which can have detrimental effects on your mood. So serotonin and melatonin, which is the hormone associated with your sleep, are really intricately linked. And so when those get out of whack, you may find that your sleep is out of whack. You may find that your mood is out of whack. And that can certainly lead to that feeling of the summertime blues. The other aspect of there being more sun right now is that actually it's just really darn hot, especially here in Arizona. We are cooking right now. We're in the 110s. It is just hot out there. And for a lot of people, the heat can just be a very miserable and uncomfortable experience. It can also prevent you from being able to go outside. And for a lot of people, being outside in fresh air, being able to move around, not even exercise, but just kind of being able to move around, walk around if you want to, enjoy Mother Nature, you can't necessarily do that when it's uncomfortably hot out. And so that can also affect your mood. You can feel like you're just cooped up indoors all day, you're stuck in air conditioning, and it's just not a very pleasant experience, and it certainly doesn't contribute to the best mood. Okay? Now, another common trigger for the summertime blues is body insecurity. And I hear this all the time from the wonderful people that I work with who struggle with emotional and binge eating. For many of them, they also struggle with body insecurities, with shame around their weight and their body size. And so this time of year, when everyone's wearing clothes that reveal more skin because it's so hot outside, when people are gathering at the beaches and pool parties and picnics, it can feel very uncomfortable, and it can bring up those feelings of insecurity when you're either wearing summertime clothes that you don't feel comfortable in, or you're showing up to these summertime gatherings when everyone else is wearing summertime clothes and you're wearing jeans and a cover-up. Okay, so all of this body insecurity, it can lead to feelings of shame, it can lead to feelings of loneliness and disconnection, which can lead to sadness, which can certainly be a very stressful experience, which can then set you up for emotional and binge eating. Okay, and then another common stressor for this time of year, because summertime is associated with traveling and vacations and people doing things differently than they do the rest of the year, you may find that you're looking around and watching everyone else have a great summer and comparing that to yours and thinking, gosh, mine isn't really that exciting. That can be very depressing. Now, especially with social media, you're probably watching everyone's summer photos come in and you're seeing all these great vacations where it looks like they're having a great time. Notice I use the words, it looks like they're having a great time. We hope that they're having a great time, but of course with social media, you never really know, right? But it certainly looks like everyone around you is having a great time. And if your summer isn't feeling that great, that can really leave you feeling down in the dumps. So it's a culmination of a lot of these different triggers that can certainly leave you feeling down and depressed and stressed, and maybe turning to food as a way to help you feel better. Okay, so let's talk about how you can navigate through these summertime blues in a way that's really going to help you and keep you away from the emotional and binge eating. So the first recommendation I have is very, very basic, but it's something that I say a lot because it's so very important. And that is to really try to stick to a routine as much as you can throughout the summertime. I know that's hard with traveling and with things being different, but as much as you can. Now, routine doesn't mean rigid. We don't want you to be super rigid, but we do want you to have some structure. And I like to promote flexible structure, where you have a plan in place for how you would like your day to go. And then within that plan, there can be some flexibility based on things that come up unexpectedly and how you're feeling and things like that. But try to stick to a routine with this flexible structure. And what that's going to look like is you want to get up at about the same time every day, and you want to go to bed at about the same time every day. Now, because the sun is up so much earlier, you may want to adjust your sleeping time. So maybe you get up a little earlier because the sun is naturally waking you up. And then to care for yourself, you then need to go to bed a little earlier than maybe you would at other times of the year. So if the sun is waking you up at 5, maybe consider getting up at 5, but then putting yourself to bed at about 9 so that you're still getting a really good night's sleep. Okay? The same is going to be true with your eating. Here at the Healthy Way Out, we always promote flexible structure when it comes to your eating. So you want to eat at about the same time every day, based on your natural hunger and satiety. And for most humans, we need to eat within about an hour of getting up in the morning. And then from there, we need to eat about every 2 to 3 hours, whether that's a snack or a meal. We need to keep that metabolism going. So you want to try to get into a schedule where you're eating at about the same time every day, getting your macro and micronutrients filled. Again, there's flexibility there. If your schedule's a little different one day, that's okay. But in general, you're shooting to fulfill that schedule that you've created for yourself. Okay? So follow a routine as much as you can. Humans are creatures of habit. We just thrive on structure. We do better when we have a pattern and when we know what to expect. And your body's the same way. It just does better when it's following a pattern, when it knows that in 2 hours it's going to get food and in 5 hours it's going to get some sleep. We just do better with that. Okay, so try to stick to a routine as much as you can. So the second recommendation I have to help you ward off the summertime blues is to implement self-care on a regular basis. Now, what do I mean by self-care? You've probably heard those words a lot, but what exactly do we mean by self-care? Well, there's a lot of layers to taking care of yourself. You first have to make sure you're meeting all of your basic needs, and then you want to make sure that you are meeting all of your emotional and psychological needs, okay? One way that you can think about this is think about how you would take care of a pet or a baby. First, what we do is we make sure that all of their basic needs are met, right? If you know that you are adopting a pet and you're bringing them home tomorrow, my guess is the first thing you're going to do is run to the pet store. You're going to make sure that you get them food, you get them bowls for food and water, you get them toys, you get them a bed. If it's a cat, you get them a litter box. If it's a dog, you get them bones. You do all of these things to make sure that their basic needs are going to be met. Same is true if you're bringing home a baby. You would make sure that you have food and that you have a bed for them to sleep in and that you have clothes to keep them warm and diapers, okay? So bring that back to yourself. Are you ensuring that all of your basic needs are being met? Are you making sure that you're getting food on a regular basis and water on a regular basis? Are you taking medications? Are you tending to your health? Are you sleeping on a comfortable mattress? Are you wearing comfortable clothes? Are you in a safe environment? So that's going to be your basic self-care. And if the answer is no to any of those questions, then I want you to start there. Start by making sure that those things are getting met. Once your basic self-care needs are met, then we go to the next level. And again, think about a pet or a baby. What do you do once all of their basic needs are met? Well, now you start really taking care of them in a loving, emotional way, right? So with a pet, you make sure that you spend time with them, you pet them, you brush them, you take them on walks, and you play with them, right? You make sure that they feel loved, you give them your attention, and you really help them feel like they're loved and wanted. And we do the same thing with babies, right? It's not enough to just feed them and make sure that they get sleep and change their diapers. We also need to play with them. We need to make eye contact with them. We need to engage them in our environment and spend time with them and show them that they're important to us. So again, I want you to bring that back to yourself. Are you engaging with yourself in that way? Are you making time for yourself? Are you doing things that show yourself that you matter, that you are important, that you are worthy of your own attention? And there are so many ways that you can demonstrate this self-love and this self-care to yourself, okay? When you carve out time for yourself, what do you want to do? What are the enjoyable things that you really like that make you feel good? That's going to be your self-care. Okay, so this has to be done on a daily basis, just like it would be with a pet or a baby. It's not enough to only see your pet every 3 or 4 days and to feed them whenever you want. You have to follow some type of a routine, right? You have to feed them on a regular basis and give them attention on a regular basis. The same is true with yourself. You have to tend to yourself on a regular, consistent daily basis. So build that in. I assure you this will most definitely help you ward off the summertime blues, which we know will then aid in keeping that emotional and binge eating at bay. Okay? All right, the third and fourth recommendations I have, they kind of go together. The first one is to make sure that you are planning pleasure. All right. Now, what I mean by this is, are you building a summer for yourself that is enjoyable and pleasurable? As you're watching everybody else around you have a great summer, do you feel like you are a part of that, or do you feel like you're separate from? If you feel like you're separate from, you're much more likely to feel down and depressed, because as humans, we don't like to feel separate from. We like to feel like if people are out vacationing and that's what summertime is for, I want to be out vacationing and having that fun. So if you're feeling separate from, you're probably more likely to feel down. So schedule in that pleasure, schedule in those things that will bring you joy, so that your summertime is a very pleasant experience. And this dovetails with my fourth recommendation, which is make sure you're planning those vacations. Make sure you're doing those things that are really fun for you. It's not okay to sit back and watch your social media newsfeed with all these other people's photos coming in of their wonderful vacations. You've got to get out there and make sure that you're creating your own wonderful summertime memories as well. And this is going to be different for everybody. So when I use the word vacation, I don't mean that you have to plan a 2-week trip to Europe. This could be a 1-day trip up north to go somewhere that you wanted to go to for a while. This could be hopping in the car and spending a long weekend at the beach. Okay, this doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be well planned out, but it does have to be something that is special for you and that is pleasurable for you, because when you do that for yourself, you feel better and you don't feel then like everybody else is having a great time except you. Okay, so planning out that pleasure and planning those vacations for the summertime often can go hand in hand, but of course planning pleasure can be a whole host of things. So one pleasurable thing can be going on a vacation, but other pleasurable things could be spending time with a friend that you really enjoy, or doing an activity in your house that you've been wanting to do for a while but you haven't had a chance to, or going to a show at a museum that you've been wanting to see, or renting a movie that you've been wanting to watch. There's so many things that you can do, but you have to be intentional about it and plan it. Pleasure doesn't just happen. Wonderful things don't just happen. Most of the time we have to make them happen. So identify what would be pleasurable and fun and relaxing for you and go make it happen, because you know what? You are worth it. And when you do that for yourself, you're going to find that you feel better. And when you feel better, you're going to find that you probably don't need the emotional and binge eating nearly as much. Okay? All right, so those are my tips to help you through those summertime blues if you find those creeping in. Make sure that you are following a routine that has flexibility, but still following some type of schedule or routine. Make sure that you are tending to your self-care on a regular basis, and make sure that you are planning those pleasurable experiences and vacations for yourself. Okay? All right, I hope you're having a wonderful summertime. I can't wait to see you back here next week for my next episode. In the meantime, have a wonderful couple of days. Take care. Bye-bye.